her career around supporting survivors of complex trauma and ritual abuse for the last 14 years. Through her compassionate and informed approach, she has successfully guided individuals worldwide on their healing journeys, helping them reclaim their lives and find hope in recovery. As an accomplished author, Laura has penned 3 influential books which serve as essential resources for both survivors and professionals working in the specialized field of ritual abuse recovery. Her groundbreaking training program, developed from years of experience research, equips professionals from diverse backgrounds with the specialized skills and the knowledge needed to effectively support clients who have experienced satanic ritual abuse in MK Ultra programming. Laura, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I've seen your work over the years, so this is a great honor to see you. We were talking before the show, and I said, you're the type of hero that America needs more of. And we have all of these, political types and Hollywood types that are part of the ritual abuse, program. And they're the heroes that we're putting on pedestals. You're the one that should be on the pedestal. So thanks so much.
Well, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that to me in 30 years, but thank you. It's usually you're crazy.
Well, I've seen a lot of heroes over my years. Some people say I am, but I don't see it. But whatever people aspire to, putting people on a hero level, you and I both are very humble, and I think that's one of the reasons why we get communication. We were just talking about how God communicates with us and leads us to certain revelations to help other people, recover and so forth.
He has taught me so much, but I will tell you, it wasn't easy in learning, because when I was trying to get help in the 90s, nobody knew how to help, right? And so they would literally say this to my face, which is horrible to hear. I don't know how to help you. Or, that doesn't exist. That doesn't happen. You're crazy. Nobody actually said I was crazy to my face, but I know they thought it. So that's kind of what I dealt with. And I finally realized I'm not getting professional help. I need to figure this out on my own. And that kind of started the journey of holistic modalities. And God just showed me so much and taught me, but it was step at a time. And unfortunately, in that process, some other horrible things happened when I was older. So this isn't just from when I was a young child or a teenager or a young woman. So anyway, I could explain a little bit, if you want, about my life, just to help them understand.
Yeah, let's go. We talked before the show, and I heard you on another show where you talked about all the way before you're even birthed, they're looking at you for potential, ritual abuse person. So tell us about how that blew my mind. I was like, sometimes I think I know it about everything, and then something like that comes along. It's like, whoa, this is another level. So give us some insight on that. I think that's going to be very helpful for people.
Well, what they do is the training and programming in the MK Ultra starts in the womb. Okay. And at conception, they do a very evil download to split your mind right off the bat. So all of this stuff is they're getting help with demons. Okay. Demons are helping them figure this out. So when the child is in the womb, the demon will tell the whoever's programming them or that they are this or they are that, and they know what kind of job is going to be assigned to them going into the future. Like, what are they more able to do? What are the skill set that God gave them? And they just take it, steal it, and turn it into what they want for evil, because they already know you have a talent for good. And that's all they do is just take for evil. I mean, that's their whole process of everything, really, is they just steal everything.
Yeah, that's a good point. They steal everything. Why is it they don't have that creative potential? What is that?
Because they made a choice to follow Lucifer, and Lucifer can't create either because he chose to rebel against God. So he's not a creator and he cannot have children, but they steal. So every single thing that the cult does is they have taken it from something and they turned it on its head. They've inverted it. And so this is how they work in everything. So they take the Bible, they take the Kabbalah, all of that is inverted. And the programming, people think, it's all about torture and abuse, and it's really not. I mean, it is, but it goes so much deeper than that because the programming is so complex for an MK Ultra. And the more, like the younger you are and you're in the MK Ultra now, they're using technology to do the programming, which is 100% worse than what I had it. So this is what we're up against. This is not like, I'm going to say a few prayers and I'm totally healed. That's not true, because the complexity of all of it, people don't understand. And they want you to focus on rape and torture. That's what they want you to focus, because they don't want you to know what they're really doing. So anyway, that's kind of what I've been trying to teach.
Yeah. And I guess Kathy Bryan and, I've had some other guests on. I've talked about, how they start to fracture your mind very early on. So they can compartment your mind, so they can use you as a conduit of information, secret information, and of course, like you've talked about. I've heard other shows where you've talked. It's just like the sexual ritual stuff is all everything. It's in everything they do. So yes. They're subjected to that, of course. So crazy. Now, how were your parents? How were they focused? And where was their focus? Because I know that Kathy O'Brien was political, and then I've had other guests on that talked about how they were in the basements of universities. They're basically medical, areas. Lynn Hagerman Scott, she talks about how very influential and successful rich people came down and bid on them. So where did you go? Were you military, or how did that work?
Yes. So I'm going to tell you a very long story, very short. So, excellent. Okay. So I was put in the MK Ultra program in 1961. So, wow. So I heard my grandpa, through the years saying he was friends with Truman. So I kind of just figured and put two and two together. That's probably how I got into the MK Ultra, because I'm thinking, how am I getting put in the MK Ultra? This doesn't make sense. But through the years, the Lord showed me that my grandfather made a deal with the military, and he signed a contract that he would give his family for all future generations into the program, which is legally binding, spiritually and legally. So the kids were given, starting with my mother. She was 17 when she had me. So anyway, that's kind of the things I knew. And recently, the Lord showed me, he said, go search Truman. And I did, and I was like, holy crap, this is everything. So now let me tell you what's exciting. It's exciting for me because it's proof. So Truman, what did he do? He created the CIA. Truman brought the scientists over, okay, to start this mind control stuff. Truman did. Truman had many meetings with the intelligence officer of Hitler. Okay, this is Truman. So Truman, not only that, but the 1947, people say 1953 is MK Ultra, but I believe they started in 1947 in some mind control stuff. And it makes sense because my mom was born in 1943, and 1947, she's 4 years old. They need kids. And this is, I don't know if you have ever had this experience with God, but he says to research, and when you research, he's opening up your mind and he's teaching things. And he showed me that they needed kids, and they went to my grandpa. Truman did. Why? Because they're in the Freemasons together. That's how they're friends. And they say, we need kids. We'll give you a lot of money. My grandpa was very rich. He has a lot of money. They need kids. My mom's put in there. I'm born in 1961. She's 17 years old. I have memories where they were putting syringes into the womb towards me. I mean, they do a lot of programming in the womb, but anyway, they were experimenting with all kinds of shit. But anyway, they were doing a lot of stuff, but now I have proof. Like, this is proof for me how I got into the MK Ultra program, because I didn't know for sure. And then what they had me do is I was what they call a presidential model, but I don't know if they did something to me in the womb so that I could have a photographic memory, but I did. They taught me how to have that and to speak a few languages. And so my job early on was to give messages to the presidents. So that was Nixon and Ford, and oh my gosh, there's too many experiences with Clintons. But anyway, so, and then foreign dignitaries from all over the world. And that was my job, is I would give the secret to the foreign, let's say foreign minister, whatever. And he would give me a message that I had to give back to the US government. And if I ever did not say these things, I was in big trouble correctly. And Kissinger was a big part of all that in my life. And so he did do some programming, but he always took me to President Nixon and to Ford and to like high up foreign dignitaries.
Oh, wow.
He always made sure I went. And even though he wasn't supposed to know some of this stuff, he made me tell him, even though it was none of his business. So anyway.
I have a picture up here of Dewey defeats Truman. So it looks like, they basically decided that Truman was going to be there. So they fixed that election just like they did, for Donald Trump, I believe. So that's pretty interesting what you're talking about with Truman, because he was going to be their guy.
Well, guess what? He was the 33rd president, and he was the 33rd Mason.
Wow.
And he's from Independence, Missouri. My family's from Independence, Missouri. I mean, my grandpa always talked about it, but I didn't put any of that together for sure until recently. And so, it's proof what they were doing. My mom, they broke her completely. Like, she did not make it. She died 53 of alcoholism.
Oh, wow.
She did not make it at all. So,
and that happens, I think, to probably a lot of people that are subjected to this MK mind control and all the different things. So how old were you when you were being used as, I guess, initially? How did they use you initially? And what age?
They did a lot of training me. But by 7, I was allowed to go start meeting important people, but more 8 or 9, but I had to be trained because to the degree that they were going to give me these secrets. But just to let you guys know, because I hear a lot of people talking about the child trafficking and everything. And so I wanted to explain what I experienced, because it might be a tad bit different. I don't know. Mm-hmm. So there would be a bunch of kids that were in the MK Ultra program like me. And then there were other kids that were not. I imagine, were stolen or, illegal, whatever. We'd go to private parties where they were very rich and, government and all that. And we would be marked who could be killed and who could not. Because some of the people, they cannot have sex without killing somebody or seeing somebody get killed.
Wow.
If you know what I mean. And so they want the privilege to kill a child. So they literally marked us. The MK Ultra kids couldn't be killed because they had been putting millions of dollars, into the programming eventually to a child, when they're full grown. They've put a lot of money into programming.
So individually, do you think they're spending like, $1 million plus on each individual?
I really do. I can only say for my category. I don't know everybody's. So but so we were not allowed to be killed. They could do everything else. And so sometimes we were just given to somebody, but sometimes there would be like an auction for the night. Yeah. So, but anyway, so that's kind of how I experienced it. Like, to some degree, I think I was a little guarded because they wouldn't let them, do like really hurt me, because then I couldn't function for them in what they needed me to do. So, Ford, he tore me up pretty bad. He was a monster. In my opinion, Nixon did do things, but I don't know that he wanted to. So I'm not sure on that.
Yeah. I think Kathy O'Brien said that Ford was really bad too. So that validates that. So that's horrific. So they probably knew that, and they're like, at least she won't be killed, but she'll be traumatized and hurt. But we can overcome that. That's the way they think, right?
Yeah, because I would be taken to. I don't know where it was. It would be big lots, okay? And there would be tons of limousines. And I remember this one where, well, there's many, but my father was a pilot. So he flew a bunch of us kids and dropped us off. And there was a whole bunch of limousines there. And all the kids would get into the limousines, the different ones. But when it was over, me and this girl were the only ones that came back. So I don't know, what happened. I can only guess. But that was kind of a big thing. I would meet, what do you call it? To me, I think it's Middle East, because I was just a kid. I didn't know. But they had robes on and dark skin, and that's how I saw it, Yeah. But one guy wanted to buy me and take me home, and they said no, because they were not going to do that, because they spent too much time, programming me to do this other stuff. Yeah. So anyway.
How much of that do you remember as far as messaging and so forth? Because I know they would put a message in your compartmentalized side part, and then after that you would be wiped. How did that work? Yeah.
I don't remember any specific message.
Wow.
I do remember I told Nixon something, and then I don't know what happened. I gave the message back, and then I remember going back, and then Kissinger yelling at Nixon and saying, "You think you're going to get away with this?" So I don't know what it all meant, as a kid. So I don't know.
He must have passed something back to you. So it was like probably code for him. We're going to do this, and he told you, "Go tell them no."
Yeah. And a messenger, to get the message, you have to do something sexual to the child, and then on the other end has to have something sexual to get the message again.
Oh, wow.
And a code. So you can't just, say, "Give me the message." So, they're very big with codes.
So they're programming you through the sexual ritual, and then they're like, okay, they give you a message, and then they shut you down, and then they send you somewhere, and then they do another sexual ritual, and do you give up the message first, or do you give it up during the sexual ritual? How's it work?
They have to do a sexual thing first and a code to get the message at all.
Wow.
So it's nothing huge, though. It's not. It's a huge, sexual thing. It's just a little. I know that sounds really weird, but in my life, that's kind of the way it was. But some of them wanted sexual things after. That was more, let's just say a lot more involved. So Nixon was probably the nicest, honestly, but Ford was a creep. And then, when what's his face was a governor, Bill Clinton. He was the governor, is when I first met him, but a couple times. It wasn't huge. But then it goes into such a long story. But anyway, Hillary Clinton found out about me. And then this started a whole shitload of crap for a long time, putting me in a very serious positions, honestly. So,
wow, that's interesting. So, and now you, not to be disrespectful, but you seem to be Bill Clinton's type, because he likes the blonde girls, and you've seen him, all the people that he's molested, or at least have said he's molested them, and they're all like you. So I could see why he would want you. Now, what was it about Hillary that she did? Because I heard that she's just as bad, if not worse.
She's worse.
Oh my God.
She is a monster.
Oh wow.
He's just very sex addicted and evil, but she is so way past that, like humanity. So she has no humanity. And I do feel like she is dead. That's not the real Hillary, but so I was in, I don't want to keep saying this because I say it in other interviews, but I was in Sometimes when I think of it, I think, oh my gosh,
I don't
these
think
stories.
most of my audience has it, so feel free to don't hold back.
Okay.
Well,
I was about 15, 16, and I was put in it was an experiment, but I was in many, many experiments. This was time travel, and it was something very, like, it's not what you might be used to hearing. So what happened is there was a bunch of this. There was like 100 kids. There was all different ages, and they started doing the experiment, and this took several months. And
was this in Montauk in New York, or where?
No, that's a good question. Where it was, you know what? I never even thought about where that was. I'll do some writing and let you know.
Okay.
Because I can find out anything by writing, but.
Nice.
So anyway.
That's like Brian is too. She does a lot of writing.
That's how I remembered everything. A therapist in 1989 that I went to, she said, just start writing out, whatever comes in your mind. Yeah. And that's how I started remembering everything in great detail. So it's a good thing for memory to remember stuff suppressed.
I'll try and remember that.
What?
I'll try and remember that, because it seems like everybody's having memory problems these days. But yeah, that sounds interesting. I'll try that.
One of the easier ways, like when you're writing, you can ask your subconscious mind a question and then say because, and then your subconscious has to answer. Because is the word that makes it answer. And then you just let whatever wants to say anything inside, you just let that part of you talk and write it. You don't care about, any kind of grammar or anything. And all kinds of things will come out. I can get great detail about anything. So
I bet. Because you're probably a genius level.
I don't think that, honestly, but I think they did train me to have the photographic memory. I'm not sure I had it on my own.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can't even say that I could use that right now fully. I mean, anyway. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can't use that they train you in,
So what kind of time travel did you do? I'm like a kid in a candy store. Like you have so much information. It's like, wow.
Well, the long story, I'll try to make it really short, is basically it came down to a few of us kids, and they were going to do the experiment. And this is the best way I can describe it. It was a big tunnel, like a big circle. Okay. Like if you were going under a tunnel or something, and it's just a big circle, cement.
Okay.
And it looked like that. And it had water running all on the outside and a lot of electricity. That's all I know. That's all I can really tell you. But when we were ready, we all had to run through it. And if we made it through, we would open a door. We had an envelope, and we had 1 hour. We were supposed to give it to the person that was in the future. That's all of our assignment was. So this isn't any like fancy thing of time travel. So basically what happened is when we went in, people started blowing up. And I kept running, and there was 2 boys, and we held on to each other, which I think saved us.
Oh, wow.
And we opened the door. We made it. I dropped my envelope, but the one boy had it. We gave it to a military man, and what we saw was the future Capitol, Washington, D.C., the White House. Everything around it was in disarray, fires, chaos. People were acting crazy. And they gave the envelope to the military person, and we did. And then they took us through some part of the White House underground. And then we went back in a similar fashion. And then when we came back, we held on to each other. It was just us 3, like out of the whatever kids went with us, like maybe 20, 25. None of them made it.
Wow.
And so when we came back, our bodies, I'm not kidding, Michael, we were, the best word is discombobulated. Like our particles in our body were not okay. Like everything was changed. And when we would get next to each other, like we'd be in a room and they had all these metal things, like they're, tools or whatever. And they would start shaking. I don't know, like if us 3 were together, our bodies had changed so much that we were putting out too much energy. Yeah. And things started shaking in the room. So after about 6 months of probing us in every possible way, they made sure we never saw each other. I still know who they are today. They're actually celebrities.
Oh, wow.
But they wouldn't remember, I doubt it.
Hmm.
But that's what happened. And then when that happened, Hillary Clinton found out about me and wanted me as a slave. And so that goes into a whole other big story. So that's my experience.
Hillary Clinton today, or the person that looks like Hillary Clinton, is testifying today about Jeffrey Epstein. So yeah, maybe we can kind of like go back and forth with Epstein and Hillary, and maybe you can give us some insights of what she or whatever is going on with the Epstein files. How does that? I mean, there's so many different areas where we can go with this, the child trafficking, because it sounds like from what you're saying, they need a lot of children to go through these programs because they're like blowing them up in these portals and everything. It's like, oh, wow.
This is why the illegals, there's so many illegals missing, because they need them to experiment, to have sex with, to do everything they can with, really, to be honest. And I have seen her do horrible things in rituals. And the last time that I ever witnessed her at a ritual, she had, I know this is going to be so gross, so I apologize. She had drank so much blood and thanks to the children that she went insane. She was acting absolutely insane. Whatever it did, it was whatever she did too much, and she started acting absolutely nuts. And they did something with her. I don't know what happened, but
anyway. I've heard the frazzle drip, basically adrenochrome, puts that, it's highly addictive, more than heroin. And I've had someone on that actually did adrenochrome, and they talked about how they portaled into the future, like you're talking about, and had conversations with people in a time frame, and then people started noticing that they weren't quite there, and so they put this guy in a trailer and started to burn the trailer, and then he portaled back and he met demons and all kind of crazy stuff. So that stuff is crazy what it does to them.
She was very into all of that stuff. Yes, the child trafficking, but she was like I don't even think there's a word to describe her, what she needed. And it means like there was never enough sex. There was never enough kids, organs, blood, whatever. There was never enough for her.
Yeah.
And anyway, yeah.
Now, because she wanted you, Bill has said that, and I don't want to be gross or anything or crude, but Bill has said that she's done, the oral thing with more women than he has. So it's not, and overseas, I was overseas, and they talked about how Hillary was a lesbian. So here in America, everybody thinks she's great, and tell us the truth.
She's more than a lesbian. I don't even think that, I'm not kidding. There's not a word to describe her, really, seriously. I do believe she preferred women over men, but she definitely. Okay, I can't tell you this part. I don't know if she preferred children or not. I don't know, but I know that she liked the other part of that.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, she came to. I was in the CIA doing contract security work, and I'd been involved in CIA contract security. They wanted me everywhere. They loved me. Every time I showed up, everything was great. I got this, good energy that I bring. So they were bringing in Hillary to Islamabad, and the Secret Service wanted our detail to basically protect her too. So I've told this story several times, but I'll say it to you. You probably not heard it, but I said that we want you, Mike, because you got the heavy weapon, and we need a M60 guy, and I was like, yeah, that's good, because I'd probably turn it on her, and I was kind of joking, kind of not, I would never do that, of course, but they're like, okay, and I wasn't on the mission. But later that night when she came in, and And I told everybody, why, and everybody's like, why would you say something like that? And I said, well, she likes kids and she's probably going to eat some kids while she's here. I didn't know. So she took the mansion of the secretary of the country, and some kids showed up. So one of the guys that was in the detail was there when the kids showed up in a car. They went up into the house and they never returned. And he said, he came up to me later the next day and he's like, you were right. And he never did another contract ever again. He was out. Boom. But yeah, she's horrific.
Yeah. She definitely was horrific for sure. But there's another part that a lot of people don't talk about her, and that is she's very ritually, ceremonial, dedicated to Satan and to all the gods and goddess demons, from ancient Egypt and, Greece and Babylonian, they all worship that at the rituals, but she's very much a true dedicated Satanist and what they believe in. And the rituals, she's very much involved in all that. So.
And you have said that most of the Congress and Senate and so forth, probably most of the presidents throughout time are, involved in this too. There's no separation. Republican, Democrats are all part of Illuminati, Luciferian type stuff.
Right.
Wow.
I mean, that's all I really knew. Like, I wasn't really around celebrities. The last time I ever saw Hillary, Beyonce, and whatever her husband's name is, he was there. And there was a few, but for the most part, I just always was around politicians and governmental officials.
Right. Wow. And so military. So Truman, you talked about Truman, and you talked about presidents, not so much the celebrities, not so much business types. So mostly political. It sounds like military. Any military activity? We kind of talked about that earlier.
Well, again, the last time that all this stuff took place, General Milley raped me.
Wow.
And, you have to realize we're survivors trying to survive whatever's happened. So, I mean, we don't know everybody's names, but there's a ton of military. There's a ton of politicians. There's a ton of, people. We don't know their names. We're kids, I mean, some we know, but all the people we've been given to, we don't know their names, but they're high up, or they wouldn't ever be given that appointment okay, so everything's under the military base, right? That's where all the programming is done. And so there's a place I don't know if every military base has this, but they had about 100 rooms, and they were set up with like a really nice bedroom. And whoever, it was some, official of something very, needed to hide he was doing this, would be given a girl or whoever into the room. Okay, so it's like a bedroom. It's like really nice. And I remember this one guy, he I don't know who he was, but the military, he had I'm sorry, I laugh at some of this. I've been dealing with all this crap, so it doesn't bother me anymore. So, but anyway, he wanted all the room and him and me and the guard at the door to dress up as a, not Egyptian, Greek. And they put my hair up in this Greek, really nice, comes in. He was nice. He's going to do everything he's going to do sexually, but he didn't hurt me. And that's all he wanted. He wanted the role play. They brought in dinner. Okay. They created the fantasy for him. I don't know what he did. I know he had to give them money because he started to give them money at the door, and it was a military guard, but they made him dress up too. And anyway, and when it was done, he left. I mean, that's the kind of craziness. So it's the same. I mean, it's prostitution, right?
Yeah, it sounds like
child trafficking, whatever.
Hello for the elite. Yeah, if you I don't like to call them elite, but that's we look at them as the upper percentage. So now you've talked about how love overcomes that fear, that control. Tell us a little bit about that.
I'm more let's kick their ass than love. I know Kathy's really good about the love thing.
She is,
but I'm more like, no, I don't think so. I am more that you can overcome everything they did to you, but you have to know what they did. And that's why a lot of basically survivors don't get free, because they don't understand the degree of what they have done. Because a lot of them just focus on Disney movies and Disney and, like the Castle or Labyrinth or those kind of programming. That's what I call the front programming. It's like what Fritz Springmeier talks about. That's the front. But the real programming that keeps you programmed and not ever get free is the spiritual programming. And this is based on their Luciferian beliefs for their Luciferian kingdom. So the thing that I want you guys to understand is when I say Illuminati, Freemason, Druids, fertility cults, they all do their thing, but they work together as one. And all of it is based on following Satan. All of it. This is all spiritual based. Even Hillary, her foundation was Luciferian. It was a spiritual base of worship of Satan. And do you know what they get from it? They so they have the ritual, they call in, they have the kids, so they start doing their sacrifice, and they do that. Why are they doing that? Because the demons are requiring a sacrifice if they want forbidden knowledge and power. This is what they want: power and forbidden knowledge. And this goes back into the Nephilim. That's in the Bible, where the sons of God, they were they came to earth and taught man things they shouldn't. It's all based on that, because they taught. And if you read Enoch, I just read it and I'm flabbergasted at how much information, but it's chapter 1, like 3 through 7. It's about fallen angels. And it says there were 200 in heaven that fell, but these are not angels that fell with Lucifer, okay, that were thrown out of heaven. They weren't thrown out of heaven. They followed God, but they sinned against God and created the giant, right? But in Enoch, it says they are evil spirits, and they came and taught man enchantments, how to do certain things they shouldn't be doing, and they gave all this knowledge. And this is kind of what the Druids are based on too, is ancient knowledge that nobody's supposed to have, but they're being given this ancient knowledge through these demons. And I can get into a whole story of that, but in our society, fallen angels are after each one of us. If you have big problems in your life, I promise you have a fallen angel attached to you. And if you're a survivor, you have a lot of fallen angels attached to you because you were programmed with them. That's why if you don't face the Luciferian kingdom that was put in you starting in the womb, you cannot get free, because the demons won't let you. And that's how I started learning all this, because what happened is I thought I got free. I thought, I had a million memories, and I hired this guy who was a specialist that worked with survivors, and we removed all the Disney and all this stuff, and I thought I was free. Doing all these holistic modalities. I worked on all the memories and released all the pain of it. I was doing good. I was happy as heck. This is the best time in my life.
Wow. So you mentioned Disney. So is there Disney programming, literally?
Yes.
Wow.
Are you kidding? Come on, Michael.
I know. I'm like being, are you so naive? But you look at all of, over time, I've heard of people talking about how there's submarines that go into Disney World and pick kids up and transport them, all kind of crazy stuff. I've seen a lot of stuff. You look at the movies, the old movies, and they have phallic symbols in them, but you never notice it while you're watching it. So they're programming like you're talking about.
Now, they program with, they like Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz. Those are the main ones. But I have even heard that they do programming with Freeze. Is that the new one? Frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they can take any cartoon because that's the purpose is a child can understand better with cartoon and fantasy, right? So when they want to do the programming, they use a way a child can understand. And so those
subliminal information in there that's basically doing programming in those movies.
Yes, but they're also doing torture and drugs and saying words to them. And the Disney programming is done between 2 and 3. They start that. They also start the programming of the soldier, the New World Order soldier, about 2 or 3 as well, and the Monarch programming at 2 or 3, and they just keep going up. The thing that makes me the most angry is over time when I started having to get sexual programming, sexual training to do whatever they wanted, right, sexually. And so I'll say I had several people come in and show me different sexual things so that I could do whatever somebody would, I'm a kid, first of all.
Yeah.
Most adults would not even do what they trained us to do. So that start off right at the bat too. That's all this stuff is right off the bat when the mind is malleable.
Yeah. And that's because children, listen to the adults. They're taught to listen to adults, don't question, and so forth. So it's easier to do the children. Adults, we'd be like, bullshit. It's like, I'm not doing that. But
Right.
kids don't have that escape. They don't have that power to say no, and that's probably why they do that. And they have their masters. They're masters at mind control, manipulation, and so forth. Now, I want to show one of your books, and we'll kind of.
Can I share this quick piece?
Sure.
They're actually masters at taking a child to the point that they know they will split their mind and make a new compartment. They're experts at that and near-death experience.
Wow.
So they know how far they can take a person that they do die, but they know how they can bring them back. And that's something every survivor goes through as well.
Yeah, I was reading about this one woman that was trafficked, and her father, who was like a genius, I think in the space program and everything, but they had gotten he and his wife, her parents, to bring her to Disney World and drop her off after hours, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and they took her on the jungle ride, where they have the boat. And they tied her up and they threw her off, and she almost drowned, and they pull her in, and then they talk to her and tell her stuff, and then they do it over and over again. So traumatizing her, taking her right to the point where she's going to die, like you're talking about, and bringing her back. Wow.
They do it a lot to each survivor, really. So
Wow.
it's kind of a normal thing.
So you have 3 books. Puzzle Pieces to the Cabal, Mind Control, and Slavery, putting it all together for peace, healing, and freedom. This is your first book. Now you talk
it's for general. It's for anybody in the public could read it and just understand general stuff. I don't go into my story too much in any of the books because it's more information written to help people get free, but this one's more general. I think anybody can read it. The other 2 books get very heavy, and my 3rd book is the heaviest. So
good. So first paragraph: if you've ever wondered about what governments, military, kings and queens, deep state cabal, secret societies, satanic cults, witchcraft, and mind control have in common, this book explains them all. Now I have this book. That's your website. I have this book. Let me see if I can find it. I'm gonna have to exit out and come back. So, I mean, all of the different stuff you cover is just mind-boggling.
well,
Tree of Life, Tree of Death. My wife has been telling me about the Tree of Death. So, there's 2. So I've only heard about the Tree of Death.
Yes. So as you know, Satan steals everything from Jesus, and God. So the tree of life is a very important, sacred thing to God, right? It's eternal life with him, his love for you. That's what its representation is. So Satan needed to have something for him, and so that's called the tree of death, and that's the inverted Kabbalah. It's based on the inverted Kabbalah, and that's what's the Luciferian kingdom inside of every survivor that they do not know. And that's what God showed me after some very traumatic things happened as a later adult. He started showing me that this is why they could call me back, because I still had this inside of me. And the tree of death, everything in the programming is based on it.
Wow.
And it's spiritual.
Now, I've had this one woman, Jessie Saboter, on, and she said that she was prepped to be a wife, or
a mother of darkness.
Mother of darkness. Okay. So Satan was supposedly going to come, or Lucifer was going to come and have sex with her. Now, you said that Lucifer cannot have children. Is that correct?
Well, he can't have children, but there is a thing going with Nephilim and the survivors, what they have been able to create to do with them. And that's a whole nother probably podcaster story. But my third book is based on working with 20 mothers of darkness. And the third book is more working with clients of the top of the Illuminati, but they're mothers of darkness. One man, I worked with him a little bit, that was a father of darkness. And he says father of death, though. And I talk a lot of the deep, oh my gosh, deep programming of the Druids. I think Druids have affected humanity, period. But anyway, so I do speak a lot about the inverted Kabbalah in all the books. So because that's what they use, that's what they believe. They all believe in this inverted Kabbalah. And they're doing the MK Ultra programming, but they belong to the Freemasons, and they also belong to the Druids, and they also belong to the Illuminati. So for me, working with so many survivors, they all believe in the same thing. They work together. Druids do a little bit things differently. They carry ancient knowledge that they don't write down, so it's passed through to kings sexually. They're the carriers of ancient knowledge, which the ancient knowledge is from the demons, the highest authority fallen angels. So I know I'm sharing a lot, but fallen angels have different authorities, so they're not all the same. And so they're worshiping the highest of evil that exists. And anyway, so that's kind of, the higher up you go, the more evil you're worshiping.
Wow. So, someone like Hillary and Bill, and name some other people that would be, I guess, names of people.
Well, Beyonce's a mother of darkness, and
wow.
I would imagine Hillary was, and I would imagine Pelosi is. I imagine quite a few of them are mothers of darkness. Sure. But on the other hand, like I explained in my book, I did tell what they can do, and what they've been trained since in the womb, not 4 years old, like Jesse said. That's not true, because every survivor is trained in the womb. But you have to understand that if you're a mother of darkness, this is somebody they have chosen in bloodline to carry for them, because they can handle it because of their DNA, the highest levels of evil. And that's what they're gonna be required to carry this evil and wield it and manage it. And they can. And I know that's beyond most people's imagination, and I understand that. But working with them, I learned a great deal. And so that's in my book 3 about what I learned. But on the other hand, you have to understand that a mother of darkness is also an altar. It's something they created. It's not the true person. And the thing that I found about mothers of darkness, their true self, at least the ones came to see me, not everybody, they had a very strong relationship with God. So you see how a person can be so divided because of what they did. So I don't know. I feel like God won't give Satan a whole person, like their whole mind, but Satan did get half. And he took that half and made 1 million compartments, because an average survivor has at least 1,000 or so compartments that they've had to split their mind so many times just to live. And when survivors say, like if a professional says, that's an illness, to have DID or anything like that, that's not true. It's not a mental illness. It's a survival technique. And if the child didn't learn how to split their mind, they wouldn't live. And anybody that lived learned how to split their mind, because there's no way a child could do the sexual things or withstand the physical things. There's no way unless they split their mind to bear it up. So
when you look at the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, and we're having a lot of Europeans, Prince Andrew, and other people, it seems like every day someone in Europe is being arrested and charged, but no one in the U.S. yet. Why do you think that is?
Because criminals don't arrest criminals. That's what we're up against.
There's no one to do the right deed, huh?
There's no one that's the right, and if there is a few, they need a whole bunch to stick together like the Democrats do, because otherwise they're afraid. They get threatened. If you tell anybody, do anything, we're going to come after your family or whatever. So I think it has to be military, but I don't know if that's possible. That's going to have to do that.
You and I both know the military is corrupted as well. You just talked about it with Millie, and then I've been pointing it out to a lot of people. A lot of people have they have these ideas that if someone's a military officer, they're like sacrosanct, they're like perfect. I'm like, hardly any of them are. From my experience.
I mean, I respect men and women who are trying to go for their country. I respect that, and I really don't have resentment towards them at all. I have I don't even think I have anything like that anymore, but the military generals, those are the ones that many are corrupt.
The admirals, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's shift over a little bit. And I have worked with really, really good officers, so I'm not saying they're all corrupt. And but only maybe a handful really at the very top, unfortunately. So we have the Charlie Kirk shooting. I said that was a whole scam. There's no way he could have been shot in the neck like he was with that caliber bullet, and all kinds of anomalies, inconsistencies, and so forth. And then we have this crazy thing with this Erica Kirk. Right. What is going on with that? What are your thoughts?
Well, immediately I thought CIA and Mossad were involved in it immediately. But because CIA is always involved in it, in whatever. And then I do think Erica Kirk is a fake. I don't know what degree that means, but it seems like she may also be in the MK Ultra program, or could be. Could be. But she's definitely got CIA affiliation, with doing things for them. So, and their mom works for the government. So that's a red flag for me. Because she could be put in the MK Ultra. Who knows? I don't know, but she's not what she is professing to be.
Yeah, and we don't know everybody. That's you and I or anyone really. All we can do is like look at patterns, and you're an expert looking at pattern, obviously, because you were subjected to a lot of this on a level that many of us can't even comprehend. Your books are giving us so much insight. I'm like looking at your information. It's like, wow, that's we do like a whole course on your work, of college courses. It'd be fantastic. What do you think about that? Actually I know you do training and so forth, and you work with people, but an actual course, do you have anything like that?
Yeah, I've been training professionals. They can be from any background. Like they don't have to be a therapist, because some therapists, they probably don't want to be doing it anyway. But I do training, and to be fair, I feel like God wrote the first book. I was just a secretary. The second one, he led me through all of it, but it was different. The second one was, it was to give information to get survivors free. But the third one really goes into, this is it. I'm showing you 3 different ways to do this. This is what they did. And each book builds on each other, the information, because I wrote it 1, 2, and 3. So I didn't really spend time writing more on the next one of the same information. So in 4 years, God gave me over 1,600 pages of information. And I have a teeny bit of my story in it, but I'm doing something about that piece right now. I always felt like, my story is important, but for me, for whatever reason, God was wanting me to get out information, because the problem is that the survivors don't get free. And that was my problem. Nobody helped us. Nobody knew how to help us. Nowhere to go, so alone. And so I made my whole life like figuring out how to get the information. And God showed me one step at a time. But the best thing, I know we probably have to go here, but how really the tree of death came about and the New World Order soldier came about, and actually Atlantis, is through a very difficult, hard thing. And I was doing great. I thought I was free. I had tons of memories, been doing this for years. I was seeing clients. I was traveling around the world. I really was happy. My family, my relationships were good. All these holistic modalities did a lot of healing for me. And then something happened, and I was feeling like, oh my gosh, this cannot be true. I thought, oh my gosh, something's happened to me. Like something has happened. I know it. And basically what had happened is in 2015, when Hillary was supposed to be the president, they called back all of whoever, I don't know how many people they called back, but they called me back, and they called back quite a few people that were at that level connected to her and whoever else. But anyway, this is in 2015. And I'm like, what the hell? I've done all this stuff for all these years and I'm being called back. Are you effing kidding me? I mean, it was very hard for me because it took me 2 years to figure it out. But anyway, I was called back. They reprogrammed for the New World Order. They were doing an update because, see, all my life that it was hidden, to be dormant. It was never to come forward until the time of the New World Order. But all of the survivors, we've been trained in that, the soldier. So we had a New World Order soldier that would be called up. So what they were doing was updating it of what they wanted. And this is in 2015. Most of what they wanted has already happened right now, of what they updated me with. It's in my books. I was pretty clear on all that. So long story short, this is the last time I ever saw Hillary. This is they did all this updated programming. And I don't think I ever saw him before, but Anthony Fauci did the programming. He didn't hurt me. He didn't do any of that. But he came in, does the programming, and this goes on for about 4 days. And then they're going to do 3 days of ritual. And this is before the election, whatever the moon was. And so 3 days, they're doing this as a Las Vegas base. And everybody that you could think of around the world is there. A lot of the politicians like Liz Cheney, Pelosi, of course, the Clintons, the Bidens, George Soros, Obama. That's where Beyonce, anybody you could think of that had any power whatsoever was there for this because they were sure she was taking the presidency over.
Wow.
And that's where she went crazy. She had she had done too much, whatever. And so anyway, that at that point, I knew that something bad had happened, and it took me a couple of years, and I'm like, God, this is, well, I said a few cuss words, but that this is impossible. I mean, this is impossible. How can this happen to me? And he showed me, and that's where this all began, step by step. He literally was my teacher, and he showed me the Kabbalah. He said, they called you back under the New World Order soldier, but you have the Kabbalah, tree of death. He taught me everything about the Kabbalah. I didn't know shit. I knew, at an unconscious level, I did, of course, but at a conscious level, my logical side, I didn't know anything about it. So he taught me step by step about this. And he told me to research, and he showed me so much. And then, okay, God, if what you're saying is true, I'm going to prove it. So I ended up working with not planning on it, I just ended up working with over 100 survivors in the next. Created the CIA. I know Truman did it, but anyway, they wanted the CIA to create mind control slaves, to create an army for them. So survivors, the number one thing that they have inside them is a soldier. Now, I do believe the super soldiers might have a lot more programming in that area because they were designed for that or picked for that. So, but we still have the New World Order. Like, if this happens, you have to do this. Like, we all have our jobs. So anyway, that was very disturbing, and it took a while. I mean, it did. And when I started saying this publicly, I had some of the highest Illuminati people spiritually come after me to kill me, and they almost did. And at the end of my second book, and then my husband died, they got to him in December of 24. And Jesus. Then yeah, I mean, we have suffered greatly for these books. So
yeah, I think my son was, well, I don't think, I know that he was targeted, and that didn't work out, unfortunately. Good for him. So there's a lot of people like us that get involved in these programs to help people, and we get targeted pretty severely. Yes. So if people want to reach you, LauraJWorley.com.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
I'm on social media everywhere. Laura Worley, Laura J. Worley. So you can find me.
Yeah. Wow. It's just the amount of in-depth information that you have is staggering. So obviously they've attacked you, but I was talking about Jesse Saboter. It's almost like they allow you to survive because they put so much time, effort, money, and so forth in you. Maybe they feel like you're going to turn back. What are your thoughts?
I think they think you're never going to get free, and they're right. Most people never get free. Even like Michael, a lot of people have started waking up in the last 5 years of survivors, and I'm grateful for that. But we have a long way to go, because even that doesn't fully scare them, because they know to get totally free, there's a lot of work involved, and most survivors don't want to do it. They just believe if you say enough prayers, God will set you free. I've been told that so many times, and that's not true, because I prayed so much, and I wanted God to take this from me, but he didn't. But he helped me. He helped me find answers to get free. And so that's what I hope survivors can hear, that it's very important.
I say that all the time. You can wait for God to come help you, and you're going to continue to wait. God will give you insights, and will give you direction, and will put people in your path to help you, but you have to get involved. And obviously you've done that on a massive level. And like you're talking about, there's people that are, mind control that could break free, but it takes work. And most people just stay mind controlled. It's crazy how it works. We got a lot of people out there, billions of people that are mind controlled right now. And sometimes it seems like we're not making much headway, and sometimes it does. But you're like me, they have to be completely defeated, because they're going to keep coming at us until they're all defeated.
And that means we have to take down the whole government, because there's no way it can be saved. Like it is we, the people, it's going to save us, the people. Yeah. And I'm not trying to be offensive or anything, but as long as the CIA is allowed to run, or the Pentagon, or the DARPA, or the FBI, they have endless amounts of money. So they will never stop coming at us. Never.
Thank you. I've been saying the same thing. It's good to hear from another person, especially with your background. So thanks so much, Laura. and look forward to having you on some shows again. Wow, you have so much information. So anytime
I
you
know,
want,
I don't know if I overwhelm people.
let me know, and we'll have you on. If there's something that's like, you see something that's really you'd like to share some insights, so I'd love to have you on again. So thanks so much for coming on. And I know everybody, the chat was blowing up. So this is going to get out far wide. So thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks.